30-second in. Hi everyone, and a huge welcome to you wherever you are joining us from in the world. I know that we've had hundreds of people sign up for this webinar. There are people from the US, Italy, Finland, Canada, Hong Kong, Japan, all over, and a huge welcome to you if you're watching it live or you're watching it on the catch up. As always, we have someone in the chat, and Claudia needs no introduction, but here she is to let everyone know with her beautiful presence that she's here to help. Hi, Claudia, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you? Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into the world of immersive learning, where students don't just observe knowledge, they step inside it. And today we have an amazing guest. Please, Louise, let's introduce Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Claudia, I'm going to pop you back in the green room where
Sure.
you're going to be.
See you later.
And put some quotes up. And if you've got any questions at all, please put them in the chat. Claudia's going to put them up on the screen. And don't forget that after the webinar is finished, there'll be an email that's coming out to you, and we're going to put the links to the slides, and you can get in touch with us as well. So thank you, Claudia, for taking this role today. Okay, so our main guest needs no introduction to those of you who have loved and followed ThingLink for the last 5 years or so. Can you believe it's 5 years ago next month that Michelle and I did our first webinar together? And this webinar was originally, the one 5 years ago, was all about kind of creating visual resumes, creating interactive CVs. And Michelle has taken this so much further. Michelle, based in Florida, she is one of our ThingLink certified trainers, longtime friend of ThingLink, and also has been the pioneer of immersive journaling. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce Michelle to you all. Hello and welcome to the webinar. How are you?
I am great, Louise. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here. Normally, I'm in the chat watching the webinars and being excited about what's going to be shared. And now I'm here. So yay. Thank you for having me.
Big welcome. And I see that we've got Kate joining us from Nottingham. Wow. Hi, Kate. We've got Rika joining us from Finland as well. Amanda's another long-time friend of ThingLink and brings the inspiration as well. Yeah. So if you remember when we first met and we first kind of started talking about visual resumes, one of the kind of funny things that you introduced me to was, of course, the Snapchat.
Yes, let me put on mine too.
So these were actually a thing. These were well before the Meta Ray-Bans. These were the Snapchat spectacles. And what you did was you clicked the button and you took a 30-second video clip. And I remember sitting in my garden showing people these. And of course, every video has me going, oh, yes, and now you can take a 30-second clip with them. Right. And you introduced me to these.
Yes. These were, back in those times, it was, I think it was right around the time of COVID. And I started with the glasses in 2018, December 1st of 2018, just preparing to record my life the next year. I had been a Google Glass explorer and Google Glasses. Hey, Amanda, yeah, you got to get some of these, right? So Google Glass, way more expensive at the time, but I thought it was prolific to be able to kind of record life or record your days hands free. So when I saw the Snapchat version, and they even had, I think it was like a Black Friday sale or something, November 2018, I was like, it's a sign for me to get them. And I know I was turning 30 or 40 the following year. Look at me, I want to go backwards, I guess. I was turning 40 the following year, and I was like, 40 is a milestone year. So I want to record different moments hands free through the glasses. So that's kind of where it started in 2019. But as I began to look back on the footage, is where I would say the journey really began. Before, it was maybe about content and having some memories. But when I looked back at the footage, just by chance in the middle of the year, just seeing where I was always importing the clips, but not really reviewing them. Once I started to review them, I started to realize some of my behaviors that I had that I couldn't otherwise see like I could when I was recording with the glasses. Because with the glasses, it's your point of view, but you're not on screen, but your behaviors are, how people respond to you are. So all these the kind of hidden messages of life are right there on the screen. And it just really became a tremendous tool for helping my mental and behavioral health and becoming a better person. There was just so many things about myself that I was missing, and things in the moment I was missing, and just like little lessons that the footage was revealing. To me, I said, this is like a journal. This is like immersive journaling, because I'm able to go back and look at a first person point of view from a third person perspective. And it was incredible. I attribute a lot of my growth to the reflections that came from the glasses. I would definitely say I'm a better wife, better mother, just some of the personal issues that I had that no one could tell me because I was too strong of a personality to receive that kind of criticism. But when I saw things for myself, I really began to change. And so the glasses became way more than just wearables. You know, they were stylish and things like that. But then I began to record to see what I was missing. And I've been recording every day since then. And I'm going to go to the end of the decade and see where I end up, you know? So that's
amazing. So
yeah.
that's a huge kind of personal reflection that you had from being able to use these. And when we were talking about these recently, and when the Meta Ray-Bans came out,
right,
you said something which was really insightful, and it was the difference between the two sets of glasses, because the Meta Ray-Bans, of course, were more about sharing things on social media, because you take the videos and then it goes straight out onto your Facebook page or feeds or something like that. But with these, I know that they are Snapchat ones, but it took a 30-second video.
Yes.
And it didn't necessarily put it straight to your Snapchat. It stores it on your phone.
Yes, it does. It does.
And that was the difference.
Yeah, and they were a bit more personal. The only feature with these, and I still wear these daily. I just put on my Metas today for the interview, but my go-to glasses are still specs. I've bought several pairs so I can have them throughout 2030. They don't get rid of them, spec. Snapchat. Keep the program. Keep the program so I can have all my footage. But anyway, I feel like they're a bit more personal. They're more like a journal, and more maybe because this is just how I started. For me, when I have them on, I think of life more so like I'm processing life more than just trying to get some content to post. It has made moments more fulfilling. It has been transformative. And the reflection piece is the biggest piece of it all. I think I was going through life 40 years. And even though I journaled time to time, I don't think I reflected much on even what I journaled. You know, I would just kind of dump in the journal, and then I was done with that, but never really kind of looked back to see the growth even. But the glasses give me a very dynamic way to do that. So yeah, that's the whole story behind this and the project of immersive journaling in general. So,
but you as an educator, you work as really someone that brings a whole new layer of digital learning to schools and projects in Florida and wider in your kind of industry. So you are the person that's bringing all of this new technology to the organizations and helping them to kind of innovate and do things differently. And you've married that kind of reflection piece and brought that into your practice and working with young people. And then, of course, when we started talking 5 years ago and you discovered ThingLink, it was like a missing link for you, because you saw a way of being able to put this media that you were able to gain and then stitch it together into something quite tangible. And that was the kind of topic of our first webinar.
Yeah, it was. It was so amazing to think of the many, how multi-layered life is, and to be able to reflect on it in that way. I wondered if it was just me, like maybe this is just something super personal, or if there was a way that this would be able to help students. Like, would they be able to similarly have these aha moments or these amazing revelations as it related to whatever they were doing or wherever they were in their learner journey. And do want to give you some credit on learner journey, because we discussed that early 2020, and it was you who were like, you know, the learners are really on a journey. It's like their learner journey. And that translated later down the line into these learner journals, and being able to bring them to life in an immersive way using the ThingLink tool. And so we started with first year college students with the glasses, and having them wear them for a semester, the spring semester, and then reflect and see if life had taught them anything just through what they captured. And lo and behold, there were so many revelations, so many thank yous. I remember one young man said he noticed someone had opened the door for him, but because he was so emotional that day, he didn't even tell him thank you. And he didn't realize the good that was happening to him because he was in his head so much about the bad. And he said it's caused him now to pause more and to think about life and what's happening right before him, instead of just being trapped in what might be happening to him in his mind. So that's a revelation. I don't know how else you could get that. And so we thought about it on a primary type school level and said, well, really don't want to bring the classes into that type of equation, because the students aren't adults yet, and you want to make sure that they're responsible with the equipment. And so we thought ThingLink again. And we said, well, how about if they use their normal devices to capture things, but we have them look at it from more of a reflective type intent, what they're learning, what they're experiencing, their summer experiences specifically. And this was key during the pandemic, revealing more about yourself when people couldn't necessarily meet you in person. The many layers is what these learner journals started to reveal. And then fast forwarding into like today and the Summer Future Leaders Academy that we work with, close to 100 students, and them documenting their journey along the way over the summer and putting it in the ThingLink, to show what they've learned and reflect on what they've learned and to share their revelations. It's just evolved. And so we see now, whether they're using the glasses or whether they're just using the common forms of content collection that they're used to, coming from the standpoint of looking at their experience through the lens of wanting to reflect on what's happening has been transformative for the students. And then having a way to show all these layers in one place using ThingLink has just been a game changer for them.
I'm not kind of, I know I'm not looking at you because I'm looking at my ThingLink account because I'm desperately trying to find Dia Jones's example. And I know it's going to be here somewhere. And usually ThingLinks are right in front of me, but I can't find it. But I wanted to show some of the original ones that you shared with me because they are just so amazing. And Dia Jones was one of our favorites. And all it was just a picture. And then she put the hotspots around her own picture, and she actually used this to share her passions, to share what her interests were, a little bit of experience about her past. And I will find it before the end of the webinar.
Of course.
Before we go on to that, just say hello to Dr. Tammy Carter that's just joined us from Las Vegas. But tell us a bit more about the Tallahassee Future Leaders Academy that had started to blend this approach into what traditionally has been some kind of like work experience. And before this call, we talked a little bit about work experience and what it used to be. And I remember when I went on summer work experience, I ended up working full time where I had a Saturday job just so I could get paid. There was no reflection, nothing. It was just about getting some extra cash and keeping me off the streets for the summer.
That's it.
Tell us a bit more about the Future Leaders Academy. And I've got some of your new students for this year on the screen.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. So these students that you have here are the FAMU first year college students, actually, who were able to add the wear the glasses and reflect on their experience and turn it into a film. And just they had many revelations throughout the semester. The young lady you see there in the red actually had her grandmother pass away during the semester. And she said wearing the glasses, documenting her journey was the only thing that gave her the inspiration to go outside and engage in life when she was in this, kind of space of grief. And so a lot of it in this way has become motivational. But I know on the next slide, I believe you will see the Tallahassee Future Leaders Academy, which is 100 students throughout the city of Tallahassee. And this was last year's group. This year's group is similar. I cannot wait to drop the one from this year, but they're in it. They're currently in the process of their learner journey is underway. And so, but just to see a finished product, what they do with the academy, you'll see is building leaders for a dynamic future. So they all receive job placements throughout the city that are various job placements, from recreational to inside an office to working at camps. But this piece of the equation gives them the opportunity to dig deeper into what is actually happening. Besides, I go to work every day, I'm going to get paid on this day. What is happening? Who are you meeting? The skills that you're learning. How is this affecting you? Your emotions? How is growth mindset happening? Like, what is happening with you? Like, what is your place in all of this beyond the obvious is what it's brought to the surface. Plus, in addition to going to their jobs, they have all types of creative professional development activities outside of work, tours that they're going on, team building exercises. So they have lots of things happening at one time. But by the end of the summer, they have these very, very unique experiences to show how they found their place in it all. And what I found to be the most powerful as I was with them this past week, many of them are repeats in the program, but they don't just repeat as a normal student participant. Many of them go on to serve in a leadership capacity. So what they're then able to do is pull up their ThingLink and share with the incoming students who it may be their first year in the program how they've grown from the previous year.
That's amazing.
All by showing their journal. So even if you in the L, if you look in the L at the very top left, very top of the L right there, Zamari Lewis, she is second really in charge to the director of the program.
Oh, wow.
And this is her showing her journey. So another thing I love about this and the tool is the amount of creativity that can enter the equation in how they share quotes that have inspired them. Look, growth from last year. Even putting it together is a reflective activity that is, transformative, even in that process of things.
And I think what we often do is, kind of reflect on something after the fact. Yes. And what you're saying is that you're encouraging people to be truly present at that moment because they know that they're recording it, or they know that they're actively going to be reflecting on it. So naturally, then you become more present in the moment. And it's really interesting because I don't remember as a young person really even understanding what the concept of being present is or was. And it's only until, dare I say it, the last few years that I've really thought about listening skills, really being dialed into what someone's saying, whether that's that verbal kind of communication, non-verbal communication, the context, everything around it, and listening for those cues or observing cues or that multimodal kind of way of looking at it. And what you're saying is that you're giving the young people these skills now whilst they're in the moment to be able to understand what it is to be present.
Right. And, just like that quote just said, what we found is when we first came in and said, how many of you journal? I mean, out of a room of 100, you might have had 5 to 6 people. And then we're like, who's on social media? Any network? At least 90%, And so they knew how to capture content for posting, but to enter a space where you begin to be instructed on how to document a journey for processing was different. That's where the journal part came in. That's where they began to, as my friend who has a new book out about reimagining, that's where they began to reimagine what content even was all about. Because what they put together here is not just for another social network. This is very personal. Personal, maybe like a network, but not necessarily just for public consumption. This is for you. This is even how the poster is put together. This shows them how they're a part of a community. But this also reminds them to find your place in it. And so, like it says here, for the first time, students are not just posting content, they're processing their growth without you saying, you got to be present, you got to be mindful, you should process your growth. That just becomes kind of like just information coming in and going out. We have information coming in and going out all day long. But when you actually begin to do it, I would say they're beginning to embody these things that we're teaching. And to your point, Louise, for me in school, present was another way to say here when they called the roll.
Exactly. It was about attendance.
El Michelle, present. It just, I'm in my seat. But I think more than telling you to be present, we're asking you to participate in it. And I think that's what the immersive journaling has evolved into. And I'm just incredibly, blessed to be in on this project with the students and to see all these incredible stories come to life that are so personal and so reflective and just
Definitely.
that's amazing, really.
And I know that like everyone's saying here that they're sitting here nodding. It's just incredible. You know, I get goosebumps every time we have these conversations. But there was one that stood out for me. I mean, lots stood out for me, but there was one, and I just thought it was so funny because Hunter was talking about his experience, and what he's done is he's got this map of where his workplace was.
Yeah.
And when you actually listen to his reflective video, he doesn't have a filter about only saying the good and what worked well and, you know, saying what a fantastic experience it was. He wasn't performing for an audience on his social channels. He actually starts with what he doesn't like about it.
All right, so this is my reflection video about what I thought of TIFLA this year and all. And I'm sorry if what I don't like first is having to walk around the colleges and do the tours and see all the presentations that they made us watch. And also making a presentation ourselves. It's not a lot of fun. Although it's fun to be able to do that stuff with, you know, new friends I met and everything.
See?
And just hang out with them. But probably my favorite part about TIFLA was my job placement. I just like to be able to just work, and I like the people there and everything. And it just, I mean, it gave me something to do for the summer and all. Because usually I wouldn't have as much to do, so I think it was pretty good overall.
I think that's amazing. And
yeah.
You know, that young person, that might just be a whole kind of out their comfort zone, being really authentic and really saying what it meant for them. And I know everyone's nodding their head again in the backstage. I can see Claudia is absolutely itching to come and say something in a minute. But
Louise, can I jump in right here real quick?
Sure.
Can I say something? Right on camera there, we saw him process through it. He said, I really don't like going around the tours, listening to the presentation. I don't like making the presentation. Although I did like, you know, like while he was saying that, got a revelation like, well, wait a minute. I do like being with my new friends and kind of seeing how they're, you know what I mean? So more than we could say, yeah, Hunter, but look at the friends that you had around and you got to see what they got to do. He was able to process that out himself. That type of agency, that's what is engaging students now. That's where they are now. They want to be able, and this affords them an opportunity to process it out more than we could ever tell them. But go ahead, Louise. That just
I just wanted to bring Claudia on as well. Claudia, I know that you're just itching to give some feedback there as well.
I just feel it's everything that you created, El Michel, is just amazing, because here you really have students that take charge of their own journey, their own learning path, and they're reflecting on what they're doing. And Hunter is just one of among all the different examples that we have here, and they're all shining through, and they all have their own stories, and they want to bring it to the word, and they're reflecting on it, and they're saying, yeah, I don't like it, but what I did, so my takeaway from this is, and so on and so forth. And that means growing up in a different, most effective way, in my opinion. And when I was listening to you, everything you said resonates deeply with me and my experience, because we don't really do this in Italy. It's kind of different. Students don't get paid for what they do, but they've got this kind of work experience. But then it's just about it. They just do it and they don't reflect on it. And this is a pity, because they are missing a lot. And thank you for showing us how we can do it in a different way and more effective way, of course. Thank you. That's just thank you so much.
I am so thankful to be able to share these, not being something we created, but being something that they uniquely created. I don't know, and I probably feel the same as every other educator on here, all of us. I love to hear students talk. I love to know what you're thinking, even if, you know, you may need a little counsel or need to hear another perspective, I love to hear it. And so many times their voices are taken away in a way. Life issues at home, social media. When you're scrolling, you're not talking. You're just, your voice is just kind of down here and you're just scrolling. Fear of rejection, being isolated, whatever it has been. This, because I have a son, I'm thinking now about this, who is special needs. He's autistic. He, in certain aspects of life, has his own way of communicating things. And I understand his language. But a lot of times, others may not. And then if he doesn't have a translator there like me to say what he's saying is, then he begins to feel isolated and like he's not a part of this whole. Like we see on the screen
as well.
But
yes,
if we have these opportunities for people like my Chris to share how he fit into this TIFLA 2025, and others can click around and see that. Like, to me, that is such a huge win on so many levels. And then Chris begins to see his growth as well. I'm just using him as an example. This is what it's all about. And so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely right. Like giving young people the tools to be able to share their voice in any way that they want to, because every single one of those dots on here leads to something completely unique, completely individual. You didn't have a script. You didn't say, here's a template and I want you to do this and this and this and this.
No.
What you've done is you've given everybody the simple kind of message about what they're going to be doing.
Right. And some prompts, like you would in a journal, some journal prompts, like if a quote hits you. We didn't say a quote on Tuesday at 12 p.m. It must, or Wednesday. Yeah, it must hit you then, and then you put it down. We just said, hey, have a quote in there. Think about how some of the pillars of the program are playing out in the workplace. Do a reflection video of some sort. You know, like they had these prompts to kind of all bring together, but to your point, Louise, in their own unique way.
And that's what makes it contextually relevant and right for them, because they're doing it in their own style, in their own way, in the right media. And actually, there's so much learning there in terms of taking media, categorizing media, understanding what the accessibility tools are within the things that they're doing, because they're sharing it and they know that there's translation tools, immersive reader, and all those kinds of things. So that everyone's automatically thinking, you know, everyone can appreciate what I'm doing. Everyone can celebrate me in this because it's accessible to everybody as well. And I guess this can be shared to anyone, can't it, as well, whether it's parents and carers or the employers. So it isn't just their voice that's being shared for this class. It's so much more than that. And then you think about the social and emotional outcomes in terms of building confidence as well. We talk about, you know, confident individuals, but I think the thing that we get really hung up on in education is assessment as well. And I know that teachers will be saying, well, how did you assess their learning? But isn't this, you know, the fact that people are able to do this and share their voice, isn't that a huge assessment in itself?
It really is, more than any. I mean, it's a huge assessment, and it's 100% authentic. It is from, like we heard Hunter. There is no other reflection like Hunter's, but it's real, and it shows that he was engaged in this experience. Every one of these dots here, like look at Landon's in the A here from the bottom left corner of the A in the TFLA. Right there.
Right there.
Now, I wanted to show this one because even when I saw it, he's a DJ. He's been DJing since he was 10 years old. And in fact, this year, he's DJing for all their team meetings when they get together to keep the energy high. And so I just wanted to show this. If we don't see anything else, we see the very essence of who he is.
That's amazing. It's just goosebumps. This is education gold, this webinar. It's something that I really hope all educators can come and see. You know, your approach. We've seen in the kind of ThingLink community, we've seen ThingLink use evolve in those 5 years that, you know, we've been together. And it was a revelation when we saw Stanford University encouraging students to record media when they were on the school trip or excursion or residential, and then bring it back and then recreate a school trip, a virtual school trip of what they've done. And that was just, why didn't we think of that? Because that is just so obvious. And it's all of where the tag placements are, the icons, the colors, the different types of media, making sure the file sizes fit. Everything around that had a learning outcome in terms of rights and responsibilities, you know, handling different digital media and what you're willing to share. So there was so much to it. And this just takes that whole concept one stage further, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And it's just, and to me, you could look at, to your point earlier, that this is shared in the classroom. So it's shared among peers. It's being shared now. When we did our opening session for this year, just last week, this was up there. You could scan the QR code. This was used in the end of the year presentation where the parents came. Oh, look at Tanner. Look at this.
Wow.
It's so beautiful. But yes, to your point, even the aesthetics, like even the use of Canva, we also incorporated video ask into these. So there's other tools that are being used as well that they're learning and incorporating. And look how she's showing her pictures. So she has an album. There's so much here. It's so rich with learning, rich in reflection. Look at this.
It's incredible. It really is. So a lot of different tools that are being used as well. And I wonder whether you could just give us a little bit of insight into how you introduce the tools to the students, because obviously there's a bit of an infrastructure there to provide them. And could you just talk us a little bit through, did you just give the tools to the students and say, go ahead, or was there any kind of introduction to use them?
Right. Well, what we did, that's a really good question. We did it more like building blocks so that we wouldn't just overwhelm and say, hey, use this, and this. So before they come to the actual first week of the program, they use the tool Video Ask to record an introduction. You'll see that on their opening screen. And then from there, we talk about, so if you go back to the opening of Tanner, you'll notice where she says, this is my video. And so that's where we use Video Ask with them to show them how to introduce.
My name is Tanner Owens, and I like to go with my first name, which is Tanner. After high school, I plan to pursue a college degree in aerospace engineering. And one goal for me this summer is to further develop my leadership skills. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. So just short and snappy, 19 seconds. And that was called Video Ask. I've not seen that before.
Yes. And so we send out a video. One of their peers does it, who's leading in the program, and says, introduce yourself. So they kind of get accustomed to the introduction, answering a question, thinking about what they want to say. Then we we start the week off, positive affirmations, life coaching. We're just like getting them excited about their place in the world and knowing that they're here in this moment and it's exciting. And so we really gear them up for their journey. And then we begin to talk about this being more than just a job and coming to different things, but this is a part of a unique journey. And then we introduce ThingLink and how you can how they'll get signed up. Then we share this image of what students who use ThingLink were able to produce. We let them know there's going to be an end of the year presentation, and this is your presentation. Your learner journal will be your presentation. And then we begin to show them the different parts, like there's pictures you can use in this. You can capture that from your phone. This year, we said we want a day in your work life video between 2 to 3 minutes. And then we introduced that. How many of you know how to use CapCut? So then they're in groups. Actually, the letters represent the groups that they're in throughout the summer. So everybody who's in a letter or a shape, they're actually grouped together. So they'll look around in their group and say, oh, you know how to use CapCut? Now this is the group's expert on CapCut. So when it's time to edit the video or learn more, we give basic instruction, but then there's someone you can communicate with in your group who can help you. So we just kind of build with community in mind. We build in the tools that they will use for their final presentation. So it seems more natural than it does just an assignment, you know?
And there's something really powerful there about kind of knowing each other's strengths in the group and understanding group dynamics and group roles. And I'm sure the groups go through that storming, norming, performing type kind of process as well, but they'll come out a more cohesive group at the end of it. You know, there's so much in there. And this is actually really, really a good example of really powerful youth and community work methods, and underpinned by really sound pedagogical approaches around metacognition and agency and empowerment and all of those other learning outcomes. So what we're seeing is a whole kind of melting pot of all of those concepts, which really shows the direction of education, really. If you think about, you know, what we're seeing with AI and people being worried that teachers are going to be replaced by bots, which we don't agree with, obviously, but schools being more hybrid and flexible, that when the time that they're together on the school campus is for these kinds of in-person, collaborative, cooperative kind of community and youth work style approaches.
Yes. And it's really incredible for the students. And when you do the kind of building block approach, I do want to add this last piece. We use either a Google Drive or a OneDrive and encourage them to add content weekly, of which their team leader checks the folders to make sure that they're adding content on a weekly basis. We've learned over 3 years how to make it more experiential than it is like work, really more reflective for them than it is like overload at the end. But to your point, all this learning is taking place and it's sweatless victory.
Yes,
it's not like, you know, you're trying to pound it on them all at one time. You are showing them. And in essence, this is a life lesson too, that things unfold by the days, not all at once.
And I can appreciate that whoever the team leaders were must have really been able to form connections with the students, because they're seeing them go through that journey. You mentioned one girl that had a bereavement. I'm sure that there were other personal experiences for those young people that they might not have had anybody around for, but also the ability to create a really positive relationship. And that youth worker or educator or group leader having the foresight to be able to intervene as well appropriately, I'm sure. So there's a whole kind of support side of this that probably is a bit hidden, but it's just such a natural way to engage with that young person.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because their leaders are also peers in a sense. They're participants who've gone through the program and kind of worked their way up to this leadership position. And so to your point, they'll be able to read between the lines and see when someone is struggling, or, hey, why didn't you get pictures at work? Well, you know, I just don't like it. Okay, well, let's help you to reframe. So they are there, you know, to aid them along the way, along the journey. And that too is a great learning point as well. The power of community, you know?
Definitely. And, you know, we often hear examples of people feeling bullied in school or being involved in those kinds of behaviors. And you often think that the ways to kind of support teachers with dealing with those kinds of behaviors is to have activities where you can participate in a group and contribute and see each other's strengths and build relationships. So yeah, there must be a whole kind of learning curve in there about how we treat other people and how we build relationships and develop our relationships with our peers as well.
Right. And understanding, like I said, those with differences. You know, there was a young man in last year's cohort, well, the year before last in 2023, who learns a lot like my son. And in the end, had one of the most dynamic presentations. He has a real strong liking for trains. So he did his journey like you were on a train.
Amazing. I love that.
For everything he learned with the sounds that you can incorporate and his voice, since usually, you know, everyone could out-talk him or something, but he was able to put his voice on there at his own pace and go with the train. It was incredible. All his peers, everyone saw an entirely new side of him that they wouldn't have otherwise seen.
Absolutely incredible. We've had so many nice comments that are coming through the chat. Lots of nice comments from Amanda saying the ripples this project creates are going to have far-reaching impact in these students' future.
Yes.
It is incredible. Getting so many ideas. Kate from Nottingham College, thank you so much. I'm learning so much from this as well. There's just, it's incredible. So many outcomes, so many things in context for that young person and the interest-driven approach as well. So if you were going to give some advice to people watching just about how to get started, I mean, I think that every community and every school should have a project like this, not just introducing students to each other as a great transition activity. I mean, imagine doing this before you go up to the big school, and all the schools that are going to have pupils that go up to the big school start to do this over a summer. I mean, it's just incredible. But how would you get started? What would be your advice?
Well, I would just say, you know, the first thing is to find the common interest. Like the one thing that really works with this is that they're all going out on some sort of job placement. They're part of this one program. So you already have the common interest of maybe this class is going to do a reading challenge. Like find something that they're all going to do, but it's going to be unique to see how they all find their place in it. I mean, yes, we have the classroom, but some sort of project that maybe they'll all be engaged in. Maybe it's like, how does everybody feel about gym class? We're going to do the journey of learning whatever, but something specific that they're all a part of, where then the uniqueness of their journey as it relates to it can come forth. I would also say that it's important to shine light on why their story matters. Many students that I talk to will say, I don't know why you want to know about me or what I think. It's not like I'm a celebrity or something, but helping them find the beauty in what seems to be ordinary, you know, finding the extraordinary in that, lifting it up, showing these student stories, maybe like, hey, these are ordinary students who were just on a job assignment and they were able to, you know, capture their journey. Now we want you to capture yours, and maybe we could share it with them in the United States or in other areas. So really kind of highlighting the importance of their voice and their story and their place in whatever the activity is. Maybe it is the class and it's 5th grade and they're all going through this and they're talking about their days and how they prepare for this, but letting them know that it is their individual journey that makes the community whole. And so really shining a light on that, and then just pulling out the theme link, the program, letting them know that this is what everyone will use for their final project, and they can do it however they want as long as they answer your key prompts. You'll begin to see the creativity flow. And I really like having one piece to showcase all the stories at once. Like I can't
that's really nice.
Poster. I just cannot. I just know that this one poster is full of like 90 plus journeys all in one place. I would definitely say, have something that brings them all together in one place like this.
So what you've done, just from a technical point of view, is that you've created this backdrop, the base image, if you like, and then you've added the profiles by using the text and media tag, but it links out to their own. So they've got ownership of what they're doing. It's not they're in one account. They've each got their own individual accounts, and all they're doing is sharing a link with you, and you're putting it in the tag with their image, their chosen image.
And I'm glad that you, I want to say 2 things about this. I'm glad you pulled up Zanaya, because when she made her presentation last year, she was like feeling that she was the least qualified to do something like this. And when you see her summer journey, it's just so beautiful. If you were, look at that. We were like, Zanaya, this just shows the beauty that's within. She was like, I loved pink and I wanted flower, but she felt as though,
state your name and your occupation.
How is she going to be able to do something like this? And came out with this. We told her, I guess she was showing some of the activity. We told her this was absolutely incredible. I'll say something about the background image. We had this designed where it would be compatible in Canva, so that all the team leaders could then go in and share the Canva document or the Canva design and put in their own students. So it could really be collaborative. So you won't just be the teacher putting in everything. Then the group leaders put in their students. And then we had them all in on the theme link. And I think they added the tags, but everybody was responsible for their section. Or maybe we added the tags, but I know the pictures, it was the group leaders who put the actual pictures in the poster.
So there's a really nice structure there, isn't there?
Yes.
There is more than a process, and everyone just has their own thing link account and they got on with it. There was actually a structure with a Canva slide deck that had, it's just amazing. I think what we should probably do is do a kind of post-webinar blog post and put the link to the webinar in, put the link to this in, and maybe if we could capture a little bit more of that process and outline that in the blog post, I'm sure that everyone would really appreciate it. So much love for you on the chat, lots of smiley faces, lots of things coming through. Amanda, which I thought was really lovely, saying, wouldn't it be lovely for teachers to do something like this to introduce themselves to students? Again, like a really nice transition activity, and lots of penny dropping aha moments as well for all of us about how we could develop this in our own contexts as well. If people want to get in touch with you, you have what is probably the coolest ever kind of, it's not a link tree, is it? It's something a lot more special about that. And I know that Claudia just put your link in the chat. How did you create this? This is just amazing. It's just so cool.
This is really, I love sites like this. They're 3D websites, very simple, but just they bring people in, and then you can link to a link tree, which is where I have different things for the students. And then here is our main media website that, oh my gosh, like it's
Wow.
just click puzzle. If you click puzzle, it'll take you to the puzzle that we created. And then you could click a piece and they go into the puzzle, which is
Oh, way. Oh my God.
So just all types of ways to make people feel a part of what's happening is, I think, the key in whatever we're doing now. So these are all 3D type web creations that I like for websites now. I like links, but I wanted you to feel like you were in an office space. You know,
Amanda's saying, "What is this sorcery?"
It's Web3GL. Look up Web3GL websites, and I could give y'all the designer who helped me with this. It's just, we did this project last summer, and I'm just still don't even know quite what to say. I'm just excited to have some things that really engage people and make people excited and want to create and want to dream and all.
We need to have a little bit of magic, don't we? A little bit of kind of, what's ahead, as well as, doing what we're doing that you've shown us today. So can you promise me it won't be another 5 years before we do another webinar? And
it will not.
We will not leave it so long next time, but you've been a very valued member of our community all this time. And on behalf of the whole ThingLink team and on behalf of all of the certified trainers, we can't thank you enough for sharing your work with us. It's so inspirational. I mean, and that's not just said lightly. This is truly education gold. It's diamonds for other educators to pick up and just start using some of these approaches with their learners and see them flourish. And we can't thank you enough. So thank you so much for being part of our webinar. I've got a couple of closing slides just to sort of let everybody know what's ahead. So in the next couple of weeks, July the 2nd, we're going to be joined by Cheryl Shirley. She is the digital leader for the Leo Academy Trust, which is in London. And they're it's like a district, effectively, of a group of primary schools. And Cheryl there has been reflecting with another person who did this whole PedTech research project, and they've got absolute evidence of the approaches working and the impact. And Cheryl's going to be sharing her experiences with us and how you can scale immersive learning. It's not just a pocket or one school that's doing it, how they've made it happen across them all, which I think is a real challenge. And Cheryl's only too happy to come and share that with us. So do join us for that webinar on the 2nd of July. And you are one of our ThingLink certified trainers. This is a program that we launched last year. Lots of benefits. I know that Kate's a trainer now, Amanda's a trainer now that's joined us as well. We've got a lovely active Facebook community, but it is so supportive. It's a small group. We don't just take people on for the sake of it. It's not just swag and here you go. It really is about trying to invest in people. So if you'd love to be a part of our certified trainer program, please do so. Sign up. Amanda's just saying Leo Trust and Fiona Aubrey-Smith have done so many incredible things. Can't wait. We can't wait either. And if you want to connect with us, you can do on our LinkedIn, our Facebook, our Insta, or our YouTube channel, and connect with Michelle. You saw the link there. That will be in the email that will come out to you. So all that's left to say is, on behalf of us all, thank you so much for joining us. Extra Digital, wow, very good. Thank you, Claudia, always being our wonderful chat. Lots of amazing. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day, wonderful evening. If you're watching on demand, we hope that you enjoyed this, and we can't wait to see you again, Michelle, as always. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.